Welcome to this dramatic therapy monologue. Listen to this meditation with an open mind and heart. In between each part, focus on your breath. Start now by inhaling deeply through your nose and slowly exhaling through your mouth. Then gently turn your attention to the natural rhythms of your breath. I remember the first time someone told me that my opinion mattered. I was 8 years old, standing in a room of adults at my mother's birthday party, and my uncle knelt down, looked me straight in the eye and asked, "What do you think she should wish for?" Suddenly all heads turned and my heart started pounding. I felt seen, respected, loved even. But looking back, something solidified inside me at that moment. This idea that other people's opinions of me were oxygen, that maybe if I pleased them, or amazed them, or shocked them, I would keep being worthy of attention. As the years went on, that longing for others' approval became armor. Pride seeped in. I became alert to every glance, every comment, every dismissed suggestion or snorted laugh. If anyone ever told me what to do, a heat would rise in my chest. I did not want to be managed. Not by teachers, not by bosses, not even really by the law. There is a bitterness to constantly perceiving an authority over you. It eats at you. I see now, I spent so much of my life fighting to be my own man, like a wolf gnawing at a cuff, while all the while I was shackled by my pride. Sometimes, after a long day of failing to impress anyone, I would sit on the edge of my bed and wallow. Truly wallow. Poor me. I used to think. My father left. My mother struggled. My job is going nowhere. Even now, with a pretty comfortable life, I drift back to that dark sea of self-pity, silently feeling that whatever I have endured has, in some unresolved way, been unfair. It is tiring, honestly, living in the shadow of your own sadness. Then there are the days when I withdraw into myself completely. Self-centeredness is a kind of blindness, is it not? I obsess over every slight, replay the things I should have said, the jokes I should not have made, the plans I ought to remake. Sometimes it is easier to sit and watch my own mind, as though it were a film made for my own entertainment. It is lonely, though, all this inward searching and brooding, as if other people were just extras in my personal drama. But self-centeredness is only the start. Underneath, desire claws. Lust, yes, not just for bodies, but for the validation that comes from being wanted. I have chased relationships and one-night stands, convinced that if I collected these moments like stamps, I might seal over the gaps in my soul. Sometimes afterwards, emptiness feels larger than before. I have used others for comfort, for proof I was worthy of affection. I see that now. I am trying not to hide it from myself anymore. And greed walks in the door dressed like ambition. I have wanted more: money, fame, gadgets, praise. I have stood in shops holding things I do not need, imagining them making me into someone else. Hoarding, stacking, never satisfied. I see this in the way I size other men up, counting points for cars and clothes, never thinking, is he kind or is he happy? Only, does he have more than me? Selfishness lives quietly next door. At work, I used to resent every round of drinks someone else picked up, every borrowed pen that was not returned. I gave only if it made me look generous. If anyone commented on my lack of charity, I would snap. You do not know my life. But I knew. I have drawn borders around what is mine. I have watched others struggle without offering more than a glance. Jealousy is sharp. A friend once introduced me to his new partner, and instead of feeling happy for him, I felt acid in my chest. That should have been me, I thought. Or, I deserve what he has. Or, how dare he find what I am searching for. I am not proud of this. I see it flare any time affection is offered elsewhere. At parties, at work, even within my family. I keep track of affection like it can be tallied, like love is a ledger. Envy is similar, yet less personal. I see others with lives I am told to admire. Instagrams bloated with vacations, bodies, laughter, blue skies, and I want that ease, that lightness. I forget that someone is probably looking back at me, wanting what it appears I have. The illusion is dangerous. It turns the world into a marketplace of longing. Nobody wins. Everyone is left wanting. Dishonesty. This one. This I have worn like a second skin. Little lies, big ones, white lies, omissions, theatrical truths. The hardest part is when I convince myself they are harmless, when I become the judge of what matters and what does not, depending on what lets me escape blame. I know hypocrisy. I have accused others of behaviors that I myself cherish in secret. Pointed a finger. Closed my eyes to my own reflection. It is too easy to imagine I know what others are thinking, painting them in dark colors to make myself look bright. Arrogance likes to present itself as knowledge. I have nodded along in meetings, knowing in my bones I am smarter than my colleagues, my boss, my own father. When I was a teenager, I stopped trusting that anyone else could teach me anything. It kept me safe from vulnerability, I thought. Power gave me comfort, poisoned my relationships. I dismissed wisdom because it did not emerge from my own mouth. My biggest struggles have always come from intolerance. I find it hard to see other people's mistakes, or their slowness, or simply their difference. I grit my teeth, feeling as if the world should sharpen itself to fit my tastes. But there is pain here. I have shamed people I love. I have mocked accents, derided politics, belittled fears. I find it difficult to let the mess of humanity rest, live and let live. I say I want peace, but I have built my own wars. Sloth is insidious. It tells me, rest, you have done enough. But tomorrow comes, and I sit, staring at lists, waiting for a nudge. I put things off, phone calls to friends, difficult conversations, promises to family, even small chores. Time disappears into nothingness. The more I procrastinate, the heavier the guilt becomes. Sometimes whole weeks slip away into a fog of inaction. Gluttony is strangely easy to rationalize. I eat when I am tired, bored, alone, joyful, sad. I pour another drink because why not? Life is hard, is it not? I reward myself for every struggle, but then there is this hollow feeling, full but not fed, content but not satisfied. The pleasure is momentary. The aftermath is silence and shame. Impatience has haunted me since I was a boy. I remember stamping my foot at my mother for taking too long at the shop. That restlessness bleeds into everything now. Traffic jams, slow service, small talk. I feel my blood boiling as if I have somewhere far more important to be. I have rushed through experiences. I have missed whole moments of beauty because I was scanning for what comes next. And yes, the real breaking point came a few months ago. I was sitting alone in my flat after a disastrous argument with my partner. I had listed all her flaws, her lateness, her untidiness, her constant checking of her phone. I called her selfish, and she just looked at me, eyes wide, tears trembling. And I knew in that awful silence that I was not innocent. Every word I said to her I could just as easily say to myself, but I did not want to. I did not want to look. But there is only so long you can live like this before it all comes crashing down. That night, I stared at myself in the bathroom mirror. The truth was ugly, but it was honest. This is the moment, the crisis. My own walls had been my prison. Years of pride had made me brittle. Self-pity kept me small. Jealousy and envy turned me against friends. Dishonesty warped me. Arrogance left me terribly, terribly alone. I hungered for kindness and handed out only judgments. I ached to be understood but refused to listen. That night I fell to the bathroom floor, shaking, not even crying, just empty. I lay there for a long time. It was as if my spirit finally gave out. I realized on the cold tiles that I had become a stranger to myself. But this is not the end. I breathed, feeling the air move painfully, joyfully, in and out of my lungs. I made a promise, right there, to begin again, to look with softer eyes if possible, to say, I am sorry, without adding excuses, to risk sharing more than just the curated parts of me. I began asking my partner how she was feeling, actually listening for her answer. I called old friends, offering more than just stories about myself. I started telling the truth, even when it made me flinch. I let kindness eclipse pride. The 14 defects still linger. I do not know if I will ever be rid of them. But now, when they flare up, and they do every day, I pause. I take a breath and I say, there you are, I see you, but you do not have to run the show today. Some days I fall, some days I rise, but there is movement, and in that movement is hope. So, if you are listening, maybe you know this feeling too. The ache of being human, the longing to be seen, the tides of shame and pride, the quiet hunger for more, the teeth of envy gnawing at the good in you. There is no shame in being a work in progress. Let the air fill your lungs. Make room for gentleness, first for yourself, then for the world. Be open to changing your story day by day. Thank you for listening to this. Breathe in, breathe out. You are not alone, no matter what your old habits would have you believe. Start again. Today is as good a day as any to do it. Return to your breath and be gentle with yourself. You are human. That is enough.